word of the day is pseudonym. Everybody try and say that. Pseudonym. Pseudonym. Yeah, we're actually going to do a little out of the ordinary. We're going to watch the video first today, and then I'll break it down even more. But let's get full attention going on here.
Pseudonym, pen name, nom de plume, alias. There's a long history of authors writing under names other than their own. Lewis Carroll was really Charles Dodgson. Mark Twain was actually Samuel Langhorne Clemens. George Orwell was Eric Blair. Hergé was Georges Remy. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of pseudonyms is how women have used them through the centuries. The news that J.K. Rowling has written as a man is nothing new. The Brontes, Anne, Emily and Charlotte, feared that their work would be judged differently if it was known that they were female. They wrote as Acton Bell, Ellis Bell and Currer Bell respectively. It was the same story with Mary Ann Evans, who wrote as George Eliot, so that her work could be judged seriously by publishers and readers. This trend carried on throughout the 20th century and continues today. Sylvia Plath wrote as Victoria Lucas for the Bell Jar. Karen Blixen wrote as Isaac Dynson. And Pearl S. Buck wrote as John Sedges. Today, the most common reason behind the use of a pen name is the desire to write in a different style or in a different genre. Agatha Christie, the J.K. Rowling of her day, wrote romance under the name of Mary Westmacott. Ruth Rendell writes as Barbara Vine, also to move away from mysteries. One thing is certain, Robert Galbraith won't be the last male pen name used by a female author.
So let me break it down a little bit more, but everybody say it again. Pseudonym. Pseudonym, yeah. So this is when an author uses a fake name. Pseudonym, an author uses a fake name. So pseudo is actually a little bit helpful to understand that prefix. Pseudo literally means fake. So pseudonym, fake name. Yeah, real quick. No, definitely not. It's actually extremely common. And a lot of us, we will encounter pseudonyms and not even realize that they're using a fake name. But you can use pseudo in real life. I could say, for example, yesterday was like pseudo Monday because it was Tuesday, but it was the first day of the week, right? So it felt like Monday, so it was like fake Monday. So pseudo, you can use that in real life. But there's a bunch of interesting synonyms for pseudonym, which is hard to say. So pseudonym is a common one, but sometimes people will call it pen name. Pen name and pseudonym mean the same thing, and same with, this one seems really weird, but it's actually common. It's called a nom de plume, which is French, but sometimes we adopt phrases from other languages into our language, and I'm going to prove to you how common that synonym nom de plume actually is. How many of you have seen the live action Aladdin? Okay, if you haven't, you should. It's awesome. And in this song, there's an ad we gotta get through.
Across a downed power line.
Set up
Stop,
and then the internet
stay,
died. So, in this song, they're gonna use that phrase, nom de plume, which literally translates to pen name. Okay, here we go. Listen for nom de plume. Pen name, nom de plume, same thing. It's coming up right here.
Where's the fun in that?
One jump ahead of the slow pokes, one skip ahead of my doom. Next time, gonna use a nom de plume.
So, if I were you, I would have initially been like, why are you teaching me French, Mrs. Coates? I speak English. But honestly, in the literary world, the book and the writing world, nom de plume is actually really common. He had just said it, right? Aladdin said, next time, gonna use a nom de plume. And he was basically saying, next time, I'm not going to tell him my name, because he had just broken the law, right? And he wants to get away with it. So even someone like Dr. Seuss, how many of you celebrated Dr. Seuss Day in elementary school? So Dr. Seuss is actually a pseudonym. That's a fake name. Everyone say it again. Pseudonym. Pseudonym, yeah. I love Dr. Seuss because it makes me feel fancy because my birthday is the same day as Dr. Seuss Day, which is March 2nd. But Dr. Seuss is not his full name. His real full name is Theodore Geisel Seuss. And that is a mouthful for little kids, right? He writes children's books. So Dr. Seuss is a lot more easily understood, right? So there's lots of reasons someone might use a pseudonym. They kind of talked about it in the video, but sometimes it's hard for authors to switch to a totally different type of writing. I see it, but you're gonna have to wait. Sometimes, let's say you were a woman and you lived in the 1800s. they, for real, just didn't let women get books published, which is really messed up. That's called sexism, right? That you're judging someone based on their gender. And so women had to use pseudonyms, otherwise you literally wouldn't get published. You would have to send your book anonymously to a publisher using a man's name, and you never got the fame or glory, and it was just really messed up. So things have sort of changed. It's not great. And sometimes people just want to stay anonymous. So alias is another synonym for pseudonym, like Agent 007, right? James Bond. And even something like a stage name, that's really common in Hollywood, guys. It's the same as pseudonym. It's someone using a fake name. Like Lady Gaga, I don't think her parents looked down at her and said, oh, look at this adorable baby. We will name her Lady Gaga. Her real name is Stefani Germanotta. She's Italian. And so sometimes celebrities and singers, right, they'll use a different name to make it sound more exciting. And sometimes it's just to stay anonymous. Like some YouTubers use a pseudonym or a stage name to stay anonymous. So I have one more story for you. So J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter, she has a pretty interesting history with pseudonyms. So I'm going to tell you the story really quick. Her real name is Joanne Kathleen Rowling. And before she got published, she got turned down lots and lots of times, which is normal in the creative writing world. For people to publish a book, you usually get turned down about 100 times before someone is willing to take the chance. And now she's a billionaire, so it obviously paid off, right? It really worked out. But before she got really famous, her publisher said, you know what, this is messed up, but you're probably going to make more money if it's not clear if you're a woman or a man. So they told her, you should just use your right, like your initials, J.K. Rowling, instead of Joanne Kathleen. And nowadays it doesn't matter, but that's kind of sad if you think about it, that they're like, you'll make more money if they don't know you're a woman. Yeah.
And I heard a fact from one of my friends that went to my elementary school, and he said that the first chapter of Harry Potter was written on a napkin.
Yeah, it was in a cafe. She was just sitting in a coffee shop and just wrote the first chapter. So she also has another little interesting story with pseudonyms, and then we'll be done with pseudonym. But this is her other pseudonym, which is Robert Galbraith. And the reason why she used that fake name is after Harry Potter, focus, after Harry Potter, she got really famous, which is awesome, right? She became a billionaire, all sorts of great things. But she wanted to then try and write a completely different kind of book. She went from Harry Potter, which is more like adolescent, young adult, right? And then she wanted to write a book more for adults. And so she wrote this one called The Casual Vacancy, and everyone bought it, and everyone tried to read it because they're like, J.K. Rowling wrote a new book. And it bombed. It crashed hard. I like her a lot, and even I didn't finish that book, which is not normal for me. Like, it was bad. And I love that instead of giving up, because let's be real, she was already a billionaire. She could have been just like, okay, peace out. I'll go live on my own private island. I'm done, right? She could have done that. But instead, she wanted to try again, which I think is really admirable, that I'm not just giving up because it didn't work out. I'm going to try again. And so she didn't want people, though, buying her next book just because they knew it was her. So she wrote a whole murder mystery series called the Cormoran Strike series, and she sent it anonymously to a publisher under the pseudonym Robert Galbraith, and they immediately published it. And then they found out they basically just won the lottery. They're like, you're actually J.K. Rowling? This is amazing! And for a couple of years, it got kept secret. And then eventually the secret got leaked and people realized, oh, it's the same author. But just that's the idea, right? Like, there's so many reasons why someone might use a pseudonym. It might be to branch out, might be to combat sexism, it might be just to stay anonymous. But they're actually really common. Like, even someone like Rihanna, right? Like, that's a pseudonym. So many celebrities. Okay, Cedar, your thing. But before you do, everyone, for the You Try box, if you could have named yourself, or if you wanted to just pick a funny name for yourself, like, I don't love my name, Emma. Like, it's fine. But I would rather be something cool, like Gwendolyn or something fancy. Okay, now Cedar.
Mr. Beast is a Jimmy.
So that's a pseudonym. Pseudonym. Everyone say it again. Pseudonym.
Wait, can we just name like someone?
Yeah, you could also name someone else if you don't want to tell me, like, if you could have picked your own name, what would it be? Who else knows a pseudonym, or what would you pick for your own pseudonym? Lindsay. Pink is a pseudonym, yep. I'm trying to remember her real name. I can't remember, but yeah, that's definitely a pseudonym. What else?
I want to be Lightning McQueen.
Yeah, I like it. Other pseudonyms, Beatrix. What? That's fancy. Elvira. I like it. Cedar.
Is this kind of like a pseudonym Radek?
Uh-huh.
I know because it's my name spelled backwards.
Yes. Yep. That would be, I think it's an anagram and a pseudonym, right? Yep. Okay. Mine would be like Ami if it was Emma backwards. Okay, Ale. Batman is a pseudonym for sure. Okay, everybody, turn that in. Turn in pseudonym.